Here are 7 reasons to delay filing for Social Security. First reason, simply you will receive more per month by delaying. If you're watching this, you likely already know that delaying your Social Security benefits amounts in a much larger increase in your monthly benefits once you begin taking it. But do you know by how much that will increase? Here's an example. It assumes that your full retirement age is 67, and that amount is $2,000. As you can clearly see, waiting until 67 or longer results in much more of a benefit. But in my experience with clients, the larger benefit, that's really only one part of the equation. Why not take it at 62 and receive 8 years of benefits instead of waiting those years until 70? Let's dive in further and see. Second reason, your highest earning years are later in retirement, so your benefit will be boosted by working later. Your highest earning years are typically right before retirement. What Social Security looks at are your 35 highest earning years, and they adjust that by inflation. So that's how they determine your benefit. And if you continue working without receiving your benefit, you'll have both the delayed retirement credits that I mentioned before, and you'll receive this boost to your benefits because of this higher income. Third reason, you are working. This is where something called the earnings test comes into play. Many are unaware of this, but if you make too much money while receiving Social Security benefits, the government actually withholds some, if not all, of your benefit. Now, this does change once you hit full retirement age, which is typically around 67 for most people that will be watching the video. It's a bit complicated, but this becomes a factor if you were earning over, I believe it's $23,400 per year. Now, some will say, sure, you lose some benefit, but doesn't the government add that benefit back once you reach full retirement age? This is kind of true. Unfortunately, you don't receive the lost benefits in just one big lump sum. That would be nice, and I would maybe make up for it. But the thing that's really bad and that most people don't know about is you actually miss out on the delayed retirement credits that we discussed earlier. This is where you get the boost in benefit for each year you don't take Social Security. Just to clarify, what happens is that you miss out on your benefits because you make too much money. Government withholds that. And while you're not receiving the benefit, you don't get the delayed retirement credits that you otherwise would get if you were not receiving a benefit. So it's complicated, I know, but I made a video all about it. YouTube puts it somewhere on the screen, probably in one of these corners, that there should be a little thing you can click on if you want to go watch it. The fourth reason, longevity. In particular, if you will live past 80 years old. A rising concern for many retirees is that they actually will live a long time. Now, don't get me wrong, I like people living, but this is a concern when it comes to retirement planning. No one wants to run out of money. And all else being equal, the longer you live, the more money you'll spend, and therefore the greater chance that you will run out of money. I show this chart often in my videos. If you are a couple who are 65 today, you're both healthy and non-smokers, there's a 90% chance that at least one of you in this couple makes it to 85, 73% chance that you make it to 90, and a 43% chance that one of you makes it to 95. Let that sink in. You will probably live longer than you expect, which again, I think it's a good thing, but why are we talking about 80 years old? All right, here's another chart you can look at. This chart is showing someone with a full retirement age of 66, at which point they'll receive a benefit of $2,000. Now look at this column right here. It's showing how much of this person would have received from Social Security depending on when they began taking it. As you can see, it's almost the exact same cumulative benefit at age 80. But after this date, your check will be largest if you waited to take Social Security. So we refer to this point in time as the Social Security break-even point. This means that if you live past 80, which many should actually expect to do so based off the data earlier, delaying your benefits may be best because you'll have many years of a very high benefit compared to if you took it earlier. Now remember, this is a general rule of thumb, and it's not guaranteed. Furthermore, to make it more complicated, when you're planning for 2 clients, the break-even point could be different. Here's a chart of 2 clients of mine, all right? 2 people, slightly different ages, but their break-even is 78 years old. So it's not exactly 80, but it's close. The fifth reason, health insurance costs. Medicare starts at 65. It's not necessarily free, but it's a lot cheaper than buying health insurance on your own. Because of this, retiring early and taking Social Security at 62 may result in surprisingly high medical costs if something happens to you. And then you may be forced to go back to work for health insurance reasons. And if you recall from a few points before in this video, working and taking Social Security may not be the wisest move because you will not only lose those benefits with the earnings test, but you also miss out on the delayed retirement credits, which you would typically get if you just overall delayed taking Social Security. So you really want to be mindful of this. And this assumes that you can or desire to work. One way around this is to find a job, though, that allows you to work less than full time, but still will provide you some sort of health insurance. This way, you can stay below that earnings test number that I mentioned before, about $29,000, and not lose out on your benefits. The sixth reason you don't need it. Perhaps you have a pension or maybe it's a job that you like. If you take Social Security without needing it, it may unnecessarily put you into a higher tax bracket. That's right. A certain portion of your Social Security benefits are taxed depending on how much you make. And then additionally, why not just let your benefits grow with the delayed retirement credits and begin pulling later in retirement? Regardless, the only way taking Social Security early and not needing it would make sense, in my opinion, is if your income is coming from a pension or other assets. So you won't be subject to the earnings test that I keep mentioning in these videos. And then there are specific things that you want to spend those Social Security benefits on, such as, let's say, trips on your family, charitable giving. I will say, I was just meeting with a 78-year-old prospect couple who they have both those things. They have a great pension and they have other assets to cover their expenses. They began taking Social Security as early as possible. They didn't need it, but they thought they might as well use it on different things. But now, looking back in retrospect, they told me that they regret it and they wish they would have just waited till 67 or even further into 70. The seventh reason, you have a much higher benefit than your spouse. So spousal benefits are one of the best yet most complicated parts of Social Security planning. Without getting into the complexity, generally your spouse is entitled to half of your full retirement age benefit, and your spouse then can also inherit your benefit if you die. This most often applies right now to men. And what do we know about men and their longevity? Typically less than their wives. By delaying your benefit, you are ensuring that your spouse gets the best benefit possible in case you die early and they live a long time, which they have a high likelihood of doing. With that being the case, and in conjunction with the other reasons stated in the video, the highest earning spouse should really consider not taking their Social Security benefits early and waiting as long as possible to do so, which is almost always age 70. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any Social Security or retirement questions, put those questions in the comments and I'll get to them.